Hello everybody, this is JD. Got a lot to say and a little bit of time to say it in. Actually, I got to redo this video because the last one went over 12 minutes, and if you go over 10 minutes and 59 seconds, YouTube won't load it. Okay, what's this about? It's about the Constitution and the practice in this nation of racism. The Constitution says we're all equal, and that everybody is equal. Thomas Jefferson said that when one person becomes more equal than another, you no longer have equal. And this is about equal opportunity and how government forces or encourages racial profiling practicing employment. First example I'm going to give you is actually the federal government itself. I had a couple friends of mine. One was, quote, beige like me, or white, whatever you want to call it, but this shirt is white. As you notice, we don't match. Two is a person has a darker tan, or as they would like to call it, black. Afro-American and Caucasian. I'll use their stereotype names because I don't like them, but I'll use them. Okay, when taking a rating exam in the Navy to get promoted, you have to score a certain score. And when you get your paperwork back, it has your score that you have acquired. And then it tells you whether you're passed and advanced, passed but not advanced, and failed. Now, the individual that is quote-unquote Caucasian failed the test. And it had his score. And it showed what areas he did good in and what areas he did poorly in. Now, what I'm about to tell you not only could happen, it did happen. And it really upsets me. Now, this other friend of mine who was Afro-American took the test, but he got promoted, passed and promoted. Now, that's good, except his score was below that of the individual that was Caucasian that failed. So he wrote a lower test score. And then when you look at the two return sheets, the Caucasian did excellent, well, superior in a couple of groups, but very, very poor in some. The Afro-American did very poor straight across. That's called equal opportunity employment, and I say hogwash. Military, hear this and hear this now. When I become president, that practice will not be permitted. The only thing you will be able to get from somebody when they are taking a promotional exam of any type is their social security number and their command ID. Their write-ups will be their own working from their supervisors, but any type of performance evaluation written will be receiving only their social security number and command ID. So you don't know whether you're promoting and what group they belong to. Now, I know the Navy's argument to that is that, oh, well, then we'll only have one group, mostly women, because women score higher in their performance tests. But you know what my answer to that is? Tell the others to study harder. And don't use this underprivilege. Because you're talking to a man who, when I become president, was a foster child. Do you know how many things were turned away from me because I was a foster child? Think about that. Think about what it's like to go to school, different schools every year. When I was in 8th grade, I had more schools on my listing than I did have grades. And as soon as they found out you were a foster child, you were put in the quote-unquote the special classes. Here I was at 6th grade doing algebra, and I was in a special math class where they were trying to teach people what 1 + 1 is. Talk about an embarrassment. could not understand it. The truth of the matter was, I was a foster child. And a lot of schools first place you there until they can evaluate you and get your records. My records were late, so they put me in a special class. I could not understand why people go to school every day only to play games. Alright, now, also, where else have I experienced equal opportunity, quote unquote? Down here in Norfolk. My daughter was in high school, and she was quote unquote Caucasian, and Nauticus was just opening, and they put out that they were hiring high school students. My daughter went down there to apply for a job. She wanted to work. When she got there, they said, sorry, we're not taking your application because right now we're only hiring minorities. Well, the truth of the matter is they weren't hiring only minorities. They were hiring only a specific group within the minorities. But quote unquote, equal opportunity allowed them to practice racism. And it's practiced very prevalently down here in Norfolk, Virginia. You want to talk about people who have disadvantages looking for a job. And don't give me this thing, well, they for years. No. I experienced it, and my grandmother experienced it a lot worse than I did. So, bottom line is, what is equal opportunity? As president, I will promise each and every one of you that you will have an equal opportunity to get your foot into the door. But it's up to you to convince that employer that if he doesn't hire you, he's making the biggest mistake in his life. What do I mean by that? Because the only thing that will be on your job application is two things: your social security number and your resume. Nothing identifying you. All that other personal stuff will be removed until you enter in to that office for that job interview. And then it's up to you to convince the employer. I cannot go any further than that. That is equal opportunity and nothing else. That resume doesn't say anything about you but your abilities and skills. That social security number doesn't do nothing more than identify you as an individual. I would like to use a different way because I don't like the idea, but it takes away any identification that may be by your name. It takes away any identification of what ethnic group you may belong to by your name or religion or etc. All that is gone. And that's the only place that it will be that way. On the employment hiring first step, the gathering of the resumes to be possibly employed will only be identified by social security number. Your callback will be your callback, and they will ask, is this person so-and-so, social security number so-and-so? Yes, then they'll tell you when your interview is. But then when you walk in that door, it's up to you to sell yourself, to convince that employer that if he doesn't hire you, he's making the biggest mistake in his life. That's what your first interview is all about. It's not about the job, it's not about this, it's not about that. It's about why should I hire you? And that I will get you as president. Each and every one of you. You will have that equally. But remember, I will get your foot in the door. It's up to you to walk through it. So, equal opportunity in this country is a farce. Is a racial practicing that has been practicing for years. I've experienced it personally, and I totally don't agree with it. The only thing that should be in a requirement, and will be in the military, the person's social security number in the military, and their written performances, and their command ID. The only thing in the civilian world should be your resume and your social security number. One man once said, when one person is more equal than anyone else, there is no longer equal. I'm a strong believer in the Constitution. The Constitution says equal. And equal it will be. Nobody will be persecuted against because of 1, their background, 2, their racial preferences, 3, their sexual preferences, 4, who they are and what they are. They will only be judged by their ability to do the job and nothing more. This is JD, and understand, I truly believe in the Constitution, and the Constitution says it has to be this way. Thank you.